The Swiss National Bank meets this week and speculation continues whether the franc's 120 floor against the euro will be raised. And I asked Dr. Frank Hollenbeck what he thinks the SNB will do next.
Well, the floor of 120 was successful. In other words, the currency was trading almost 1-to-1, and when the central bank said they were going to set a floor, it basically changed expectations and the currency went above 120. So therefore, it was kind of a win-win situation for the central bank in the sense that they didn't have to increase the money supply and they got what they wanted. Sometimes you have to be careful about successes leading to other successes. I know there's a lot of discussion that they're going to raise the floor to 130, and that's a possibility. But they have to realize that if the European Central Bank is going to start monetizing the debt, and the odds are getting higher and higher, then very quickly this floor will be challenged by speculators. And it's a lot easier to defend a 120 than it is to defend a 130, okay? And I think they have to realize, the central bank has to realize that one success doesn't lead to multiple successes. So I'm just saying, be very careful about what you're doing. Also, I want to point out that when you change a currency, okay, there are winners and losers, okay? The winners will be the exporters, but there are a lot of losers also, okay? For example, people who will see import prices go up. So people in Switzerland will all of a sudden find that the great Christian Dior perfume that they wanted to purchase is now more expensive. Producers in Switzerland who basically import their imports and then basically import their inputs and then sell them in Switzerland, they're also going to get hurt. So let's be very clear about this, is that moving from 120 to 130 is going to create some pain and some gain, okay? And the central bank has basically made a decision that exporters should benefit relative to the others who are going to pay for this price.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there is a big meltdown within the Eurozone, if something catastrophic happens with it, won't it be very hard to maintain any sort of floor?
Yeah, the Swiss Central Bank may do what they did back in the, I think it was in the 70s, yes, where they put in capital controls. Okay, that's a possibility also. But I must admit, if I was wanting to work somewhere, it would be in Switzerland today, because I think of the European countries that are going to come out of this, you know, in a relatively healthy state, is going to be Switzerland. And all of this has to do with the fact that it's illegal to have budget deficits. And that's a really strong, that puts Switzerland in a very, very strong position.
Well, let's talk about the inflation situation, because whereas many parts of Europe are very concerned about high inflation, it's not the case here in Switzerland. No. So how does that play into the SNB's decision making? Well,
that's basically because of the monetary policies the SNB has followed in the past. So in other words, they're reaping the successes of the monetary policy they followed in the past. The problem with fixing your currency is basically if we hit this floor, then basically the Swiss Central Bank will be following European Central Bank's monetary policy. You either fix your exchange rate or you have independent monetary policy. You can't do both at the same time. Let me say something also about the fact that if the ECB does monetize the debt, I think it would only give us a gain for about a year. It would reduce risk premiums, but very quickly we would see the premium related to anticipated inflation go up. So in other words, we have to remember that a lot of the European debt, Italian debt, Spanish debt, is mostly short term. The average, I think, is 7 years for Italy, but most of it's coming due like in the next 3 years. So in such a situation, we could have a situation where interest rates drop and then start going back up. And therefore, then we end up in a situation where we get a crash, but at the same time, we have the ECB has destroyed the price system by printing money.
Yeah, and what about interest rates in Switzerland? Isn't there a relatively strong argument to actually increase interest rates here, because are these concerns about the housing sector in Switzerland? There's a bubble forming. So isn't there an argument for increasing interest rates, but at the same time that's going to make the franc more attractive, and then that could have...
Exactly. You know, it's going to have other impacts. It's going to make it more attractive to invest in Switzerland. Like I said, it's very difficult to set a fixed exchange rate and then be able to fix other prices at the same time.